Have we forgotten about Galad and Gowon's trauma in episode 3? We'll answer this question and more in this edition of Bustin' Blockbusters, our part 2 discussion, really talking only about episode 3 of The Wheel of Time, season 3. Hey, welcome back to Bustin' Blockbusters. This is our part 2 conversation regarding episodes 303 and 304 of The Wheel of Time. The Road to the Spear is the one that we mostly discussed in the part 1. And now we're going to go back to episode 3, Seeds of Shadow, and talk mostly about that. If you're looking for our ratings for both episodes, or the musical analysis for both episodes, or the Ruidian talk, you need to go back to our prior episode to check all of that out. This conversation was very long, and it wasn't even complete. We didn't even get to all of the subjects that we were talking to because I had to leave for work. So I'll be jumping in here like this to add some supplementary talk as we go along. This episode will still be very long as we talk pretty much exclusively about episode 3 of season 3 of The Wheel of Time. Here's Bubba and Priscilla and me continuing the conversation. You can find the YouTube channel at the word double the letter P, the word media on YouTube. You can also leave comments, and Priscilla's already got an analysis up for this episode, and they're like days before you'll see this one anywhere or hear it, for that matter, just on the audio podcast. At Priscilla TV1, be sure to check that out. Don't forget that you can always submit your feedback to me, mattsaudioblog@gmail.com, or you can use matthewmurdoch.bsky.social. I'm only on Blue Sky now, but Bubba's everywhere, and you can always tell him to fire me soon, which, you know, that's your prerogative. So at the word double the letters PHQ, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, I don't even know. If you're on a social media, I think all you got to do is search for double PHQ, and you'll probably find Bubba that way. Let's talk about our favorite scenes. We're taking our fifth. Priscilla, what are your favorite moments? It's 2 episodes, so you can take more than just one scene if you wish.
Well, I like from episode 3, I have 2.
Excellent.
So the first one is obvious, is the Forsakens meet and greet. It was great. Great fun. I really appreciated how they introduced the characters through their dialogues and like their grievances against each other, and like their pettiness and everything came through. I loved it. And also like seeing Bornhold Jr. again, like with the white cloaks, and obviously Child Valda is always a fan favorite and a favorite of mine because he's so deranged. But Bornhold Jr., he has kind of like, he has fallen in hard times. He's not coping well with losing his daddy, even though at the such an early age that he lost his dad, right? It's like, what? How old is he? 20, like 30 something? Like basically a child.
No.
And he has become like what we call in Brazil, like the translation would be a schnapps pudding, you know.
Whoa.
Like, so the guy basically just walked into a barrel of wine and just like took a swim, he is not doing well, and I loved to see him fail. So it was great. And episode 4, the Moiraine sequence that for me was the highlight. I will also choose another scene when she and Rand are sharing their moment where she's telling him exactly who her uncle was, and what the actions of her uncle, what caused, and then Rand makes the connection, and like they started understanding each other a little bit better there. That was also like a very good moment for me.
Hey,
Excellent.
let me take my fifth. And let me say that I am completely, I believe, cheating, because this was more than a scene, more than a fifth of the episode. But when you go into a magical city, a mythical city, for an important rite of passage, it's got to be grandiose. It's got to be emotionally moving. It has to shake the story to the core. It did it. Episode 4 did it. Once Rand and Moiraine entered the city, it was incredible. That is the one I'm claiming my fifth.
You're taking a fifth of the whole series 3, I believe.
Heck yeah, let's do it.
That's fine. You were more than welcome to. For me, I'm just taking one scene, although there were many, many, many fabulous scenes in episode 4, but I'm going back to my rating, and I'm just saying that the quarterstaff fight, that is something that we didn't know if we were going to get from Rafe or not because of the trajectory of Matt's story. And I'm so glad that it happened. That, like, the bubbles of evil were done a little different. They were manipulated by different things. That's fine. At least we got it. And those are the kinds of things that just stick with me as a book reader, because I can handle changes. I really can. I know sometimes I sound like I can't, but I can handle changes. Those don't bother me so much. It's when I feel like the spirit of the book or the books gets deflated in some ways. And so far this season has done nothing but follow the spirit of the books for me. So, but the quarterstaff, that's kind of like one of those essential spirits of the book. And that just got me. It really, really, wowed me. It won me over. I know we're in good hands. We've got lots of topics too. So many topics. I've split lots of little subdivisions again into bigger ones. Like we've got the thing about the Forsaken. We've got Elayne and Nynaeve searching for the Black Aja. We've got Elaida happening at the tower. And we've got the Two Rivers. So I'm not even going to spin the wheel. I'm just going to ask you, Bubba, because you're pretty good at picking a lead topic. Where do you want to start?
Well, Matt, I think a good fantasy show needs good antagonists. Priscilla was exactly right. At the beginning of episode 3, we've got the Forsaken, power lunch. Let's do it. Let's meet our new members of this evil menagerie. One we had already met. It's going to take me a long time to stop calling him Lord Gabriel, but he was so obviously shady. Lord Gabriel in episode 2, I knew he was evil. I didn't know he was Forsaken, for goodness sake. But there were also others. And our softly from the shadows lady makes a cameo too. Take us through the new Forsaken.
Okay, well, let's start with Robin. You've already talked about him a lot, but one thing that I found very interesting, and I'll direct this towards you, Priscilla, is I think a lot of people were thinking, well, he's got to come into the White Tower and he has to compulse every single one of them. Evidently, no. It's only the room that he's in when he meets them, according to what he said in this particular thing. So half of Andor, where his wife or his consort is ruling, may not even know who the heck he is until they meet him. And then they'll think that they've already known him for 10 years. That's a pretty neat trick. And I wonder also if that thing with him kind of almost seemed like he was kind of flirting with Mogi at the end. I wonder if that wasn't both of them trying to compulse each other, testing their compulsion skills against each other. Any thoughts on that, anybody?
No, I think you got it right.
For once?
No, I don't know. Maybe you got it wrong
There you go.
But who knows? Like, I have the same impression that this is how it works, because the guy has been unsealed just for over a month, and he already accomplished a lot. And I don't even know how he would first meet Morghese, the first meeting, how he would manage to get into the same room as a queen, but I have my suspicions that he's just like he uses compulsion as someone breathes, so it's just very natural to him.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever he wants, he has no qualms about it. He's just like one compulsion here, one there, and he's he's subtle. And one thing, this guy comes straight from the Age of Legends, right? So he's an Aes Sedai from the Age of Legends, and this is something that in the series is very clear from the beginning, that this world has lost so much knowledge, so many things have been lost with the War of Power. And we have at some point, at one point in the story, we are going to start revisiting a lot of the knowledge and like trying to work them for changes. But this guy, he has the knowledge that was lost. He's not only a powerful channeler, but he comes from a place in time where things that that people think in this era are impossible were possible back then. So, and another thing is like each Forsaken has some sort of specialty, and this seems to be his specialty. This seems to be something that he has worked really hard and has tuned into such a degree where he doesn't even, it's strange to say that, but he does not even feel like he's cheating. This is what he does. This is like his kind of like profession. He's a professional, mind tricker going around. And you have the feeling, actually, as Bubba did, that something is not quite right with this guy, but you don't understand the degree of how wrong this guy is until you are told exactly who he is and what he has been doing. So great introduction, great performance also, because the actor playing, he does this thing where you're like, why is Borghese even married to this dude? This dude is like, he's so goofy. He's just like, but also, but you ask yourself why, but you also kind of understand, no, actually, he's kind of charming too. And so, but no, he's not.
Yeah, he's furthest from charming, that's for sure. Bubba, do you have any additional thoughts on Robin, or do you want to talk about Samael?
My big comment really isn't about any one individual like Samael. I just met. I don't have any impression of him other than as a group. You wonder if you're the Dark One, if you're an evil leader, you're like, why can't my henchmen ever just get along? This is so classic. They're already scheming against each other. They've been broken out of these seals a month, I believe they said. Guys, form a plan and stick with it. I guess what I would say, the other thing is, I'm pretty sure the show never explained, this is a noblesse, this is what it is. But from the context clues, the way I interpreted it was that this is pretty much the hand of the king, the right-hand person to the Dark One. And so is that correct? Am I allowed
Ding,
to
ding,
guess,
ding,
or
ding,
will the
ding,
show
ding, ding,
explain
ding.
it? Okay,
You are
so
correct.
Yeah, but they do say that. I think it's lanfear or Samael. Oh, who is going to be the second in command? Something like that. Something to the extent that.
If they did, I missed it.
No, it was
Just who's
once.
going to be the.
They keep
Okay.
repeating the term nameless, but the first
Yes.
time they say what it is, because they say, oh, who is going to be the second in command? Who is going to be the nameless?
This position of nameless is the most coveted position because it is the most power. It's the most getting what you want, all of those kinds of things. And that's why all of these people are struggling against it. And as Priscilla pointed out, all of these people are also some of the strongest former Aes Sedai, or at least channelers from the Age of Legends, which had the strongest use of the one power. So you would think that for our heroes, that's almost too much to overcome. And that's what being nameless is, anyway. As for Samael, why did they dress him like Napoleon? Because he's short.
Yes.
And also, I love that Irish accent. And also, he evidently doesn't have any friends who can channel because he's never, you can't heal yourself. But all those scars on his faces, does he wear them like badges? What's going on there? I would like to know more about, and perhaps we will get to know more about Samael as the season goes on, or as seasons hopefully go on. Anything else about Samael before I move on to anything else here?
No, he's just a guy without any sense of humor, apparently.
He's a straight shooter.
Yeah, he's just like, I want to kill somebody. I don't know.
I was going to say he's the perfect contrast to Lord Gabriel, right? Like if you have one person who's kind of socially out there and big and kind of all smiles, you want the opposite. So I think it makes perfect sense that this character exists in this scene and in this show.
Now, Bubba, there were two other. One of them, I believe, was mentioned in season 2. Wasn't Grendel mentioned in season 2?
Yes, she was.
But
Grendel is insane.
Yeah.
That's what
lanfear
said.
Yeah, and then there's another name that Robin drops here, Cimaraj. Now, I believe that Ishi only had 6 additional seals that he broke at the end of season 2. So if you include Ishi as one of the 8 Forsaken that the show has, there's still one missing.
Who is going to be?
Ooh, I hope it's a character we already know so I can see if I can figure it out. Oh, this is great.
Exactly. And there are lots of speculations online as to who even the Cimaraj name drop might be. And I saw some other ones, which I won't get into because they seem kind of spoilerific. So, but just keep that in mind, folks. There's still one at large out there. Where do we want to go next, Priscilla?
You're the one who's hosting. Don't unload your responsibilities on me.
I would spin the wheel and leave it up to chance.
Let's go on our not quite full Aes Sedai yet. Elayne and Nynaeve's journey to a journey. So they're in the White Tower. They are, I want to say good cop, and they are trying to find the Black Aja. They're a great pair to find them because they can lie, right? That's the big thing. They haven't
taken the oath, or they haven't swore their oaths yet, so they can lie.
Love it. I wish one of them was a bad cop because these 2 prisoners who don't give them any help at all, I was ready for them to be in chains, for them to be in a cage like Logain, to be treated terribly. But instead, our 2 sweethearts, Elayne and Nynaeve, just kind of ask them questions and then accept, okay, we're not going to get anything from them. But they were very strong as a team in season 2, taking on the Shan-Chan, and I think it's good that we're going to get them out and battling the villains, because it feels like the villains with the Black Aja, with the Forsaken, with so many terrible people out there, we need people confronting them ASAP. That's what I say.
Yeah, I like that. Like in the series, you have a lot different villains and different types of villains. So it's a very big series with like more than 1,000 characters, named characters, multiple locations. 14 books.
And more.
Yeah. And at each side, each corner of the world, you're going to have a villain. You're going to have someone, not only a dark friend. Sometimes there are even 2 big types of villains. There are the dark friends, the ones that are aligned with the dark one, and there are those villains that actually think that they're doing good, like the the White Cloaks and Elaida and stuff. So even though you don't have one main villain, one main antagonist, you have so many that you can choose from. And Elayne and Nynaeve, they seem to be like right now focused on the Black Aja, but I have a feeling, which is not a feeling, it's a spoiler. They are going they are going to find something else also in Tanchico, because we already saw her there.
Yeah. Talking about Mogi?
Yeah. Yeah, she was there, like hanging out with the Black
here's the
Aja,
thing.
right?
Mogi evidently has been gunning for Nynaeve because all of her gray men keep going after Nynaeve.
Yeah. And she was there at the Black Aja's castle palace thing. The last time we saw her. So
I mean, it was only because Nynaeve moved Elayne out of the way that Elayne got hit with that last Greyman's attempt to kill. I think the target was actually Nynaeve. So why is Mogi going after Nynaeve? That's a question to ask.
indeed?
Why indeed?
Maybe she's jealous.
Mogi needs multiple gray men. Sending one at a time is not working. Army of gray men, let's attack. And I don't know why I'm helping the Forsaken, but sure.
That's an interesting change from the show too, which I don't think is a spoiler to say. The fact that Mogi is the only one who can create them is kind of a new invention of the show. So what did you think of it's funny that they keep mentioning this. They call their little factions hearts so that there's plausible deniability. Yet Liandrin seemed to know that there was going to be more than just 3 in the seat room when she called for their help in the very first scene. So is Liandrin just the main contact between all of the hearts? I guess.
How old
She certainly seems to be leading the group in Tanchico when we see her.
How old is Liandrin in the series? Because her son was like what, an 80 years old man, and she's
she takes out her the great grandson of the guy that she married.
Yeah, but it's like,
so she's old.
Age is just a number.
No, but she had her son very young.
That's true. She is almost like a child bride.
So the son was over 100 years old. Maybe she was keeping the son alive with the one power for all this time.
She might have been doing some things to try and heal him. Although I don't know that Reds are all that great at healing. They usually do more hurting than healing. But
yeah, but nevertheless, what I'm trying to get at, maybe she is like the more senior member of the Black Aja at this point.
Yeah.
In the tower, so that's why she knows more.
Yeah,
than others.
That could be very well. Maybe she's been mixed up in too many hearts, and she just knows them all by now.
Yeah.
So something that Nynaeve points out also is that Perrin never asked who stabbed the Gray Man. So we've got Perrin somehow managing to shield a little bit from Naomi's spell that she cast in the 13th depository. We've got Nynaeve's suspicion here. Don't want to, because the show hasn't come out and shown us directly, I don't want to say that, well, Perrin's got to be Black Aja herself. But there's definitely a great deal of suspicion being built around her. Is that done? Is that done to deflect us from the truth? We will find out.
You know what? The show has, I just said a second ago, the show has so many antagonists. Yeah, let's make Perrin one too. Come on, everybody. You're an antagonist. You're an antagonist. Look underneath your chair. You're an antagonist.
It's an Oprah Winfrey show. You get a villain. You get a villain. You get a villain. Yes, that's good. Hey, I do. Go ahead.
No, you go.
Oh, I was just going to say I do love the fact that when questioning doesn't work because their bad cop, good cop routine didn't work, or as you call it, the good cop routine.
Yes.
They just do a little old-fashioned Columbo investigating, and they put the pieces together on their own. Good job, girls. I was quite impressed with that. If Leandrin hadn't been so sloppy and left a little bit of that drawing exposed where you could see it from under the bed, she might have gotten away with it. But no, she did not. The other thing is
Meddling kids.
during all that questioning, a lot of the answers I think were just book service, because a lot of things were dropped to tell us, yes, we're aware of these things, but as we found out, none of them lead to Nynaeve and Elayne's actual mission. So sometimes I feel like the show just tries a little bit too hard now to course correct back to the books, but that's just me. Again, I won't complain too much about it.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're doing a good job.
We were having this discussion, and you pointed out that the season is flowing better without the mystery box.
Yeah.
And
we're generating a lot of mysteries for ourselves.
No, but I think there is some truth in it, because the season 1 they kind of were forced into the mystery box to keep it up, and season 2 for some reason they went mystery box light with the Moiraine storyline. It wasn't entirely this whole secret what's going on, but at this point they are more intent in delivering some answers. And since they had 2 seasons with the mystery box gimmick, now that we need answers, they are coming one after the other. So maybe they should have thought things over and paced this a little bit better. Perhaps it would be better for the longevity of the series, like in terms of rewatching. But I don't know. There were so many limitations that they had to face in the first season, and then in the second season they were trying to correct some things, and like Matt got replaced and stuff. So I don't know. I feel kind of bad pointing out the mistakes that were made now in retrospect, because we are speaking about in retrospect. So I have to believe that when they were sitting to writing and conceiving the series, that they thought all the ideas were good ideas, that they would work. So I cannot think, oh yeah, let's do this, just let's see.
Bubba, did you want to say something? I saw you raise your hand there.
I did. Well, I wanted to say that what's so funny is you guys talking about the book change. To me, and I think we can spin the wheel and go to a next topic, maybe Elaida, is that how you pronounce her name? In that one thing that felt funny about episode 3, not that it was bad, but that it felt funny, is to me the episode spent the most time with her, Elaida. And I love this actress. I'm becoming intrigued by this character, but the fact that episode 3 felt like it spent the most time with her, unless some of our returning characters, was a bit shock. And so to me, that must mean, my non-book reader, little gray cells are spinning, thinking Elaida must be a real big character moving forward if she gets the bulk of one episode. So, maybe we could go there. And she is something that's maybe easier to understand for a non-book reader. She is a political player, and that's fun to watch. What did you guys think?
The biggest thing for me was, what were the tremors? Was that her actually having a vision? And, here's the thing. Min's running off to chase Matt and Elayne and Nynaeve. Did she tell Swan about Elaida's plan? Because Elaida gave the plan straight to her.
I know.
And she's supposed to be a spy for Swan. Or did she just drop that and screw up again? Poor Min.
What I think.
They are not doing Elaida like that she's doing something without Swan expecting her to do it. It's not that Elaida is there pretending to be Swan's friend and then stabbing Swan in the back. The minute Elaida steps into the White Tower, Swan already knows.
Anytime a woman says to any other woman, "Cross me and I will never forget it," that strikes fear in my heart.
Yeah.
You know,
So like that's not in the series. That's not how Elaida is playing. She's like dealing her cards like, yeah, I'm here for this.
which plays to her character because she is constantly convinced that there is no other way except her way or the highway.
Yeah.
So that's good. Bubba, what else did you think about Elaida? Any other scenes stick out to you?
No, just no. It's just that this is seeing her kind of take control of the Reds, and it's obvious this is a first step in a quest for power. I love it.
The fact that she got into power simply I mean, we've talked about Swan making a ton of mistakes, and one of them is to send the one Red Aja who might actually be in your corner away to chase some dude named Mazrim Taim. Not a smart move. Right?
No. She's
which because that puts Elaida in a higher position, as Galina says. Is that her name? I can't remember. But
the funny thing is that Swan, she appears not to have access to information about what is happening in the tower, and this is something that you like. Each ruler, each person would have a secret master, someone like that would be dealing with intelligence and secrets, and Swan doesn't happen to have one, so she doesn't know what's going on unless it's being told to her, and that's what is being communicated in the series. She has this plan with Moiraine, which is a secret, and maybe Very would fill the position of someone who knows secrets that could actually feed Swan. But in short, I think Swan is kind of flying blindly at this point. She doesn't have access. She doesn't seem to have this person that could feed her information. Regarding, hey, look at this. This person in the Red Aja, she is aligned to you. This one you cannot trust. Or like my sources tell me that something is going on with the Greens.
Yeah,
she doesn't have that.
Well, she's got Leanne, who knows how to follow rats, evidently. Leanne could go and listen anytime she wanted.
Come on, Matt. Leanne, she has a gut feeling. She doesn't know anything. Let's be honest.
Okay.
Nobody knows anything.
Nobody knows anything. So you've heard me talk about the quarterstaff fight being one of my favorites already, but I wanted to point out some things about Matt and Min. I mean, they really need to just suck it up and get over this contention that they have. I understand why Matt is angry. I understand why Min feels she's right and how she basically, rejected the idea and then warned him. But the damage was done, and somehow her and Matt have to get this resolved, because now she's seen this vision of him. He was hanging by his neck, and it was the door frame that we saw in the 13th depository was kind of in the background. Not sure what all that means. Unless you're a book reader, then you know exactly what that means, but we won't talk about it here. And how is Min going to tell him about this? He says, he's consistently said he doesn't want to know about his future all the time. So she's obviously going so that she can try and protect him. I can see how they could make that vision of hers make her more active in Matt's storyline. The other thing, of course, is the quarterstaff romp that Galad and Gowan get. Love that. To me, when Matt was kind of leaning on the pole and he kind of had his head to it, it was almost like he was downloading how to use the quarterstaff from his memories or whatever. It's kind of like the Matrix, where he's just getting the information and then he's getting ready and he fights. And I talked about that in the last episode regarding the musical theme that went with that when the fight started and how it progressed. Be sure to go back to that episode, the prior episode, and check that out if you're interested in that Heroes of the Horn theme and just kind of the guitar stuff that was going on after that. Love the fight. It was every bit as important as the Bubbles of Evil for me. Even though it's done a little bit differently, just like the Bubbles of Evil, everything worked great. The spirit of the book was maintained, and I absolutely love that. But yeah, Matt and Min really have to get their stuff together if they're going to make this thing work in Tanchico. Min is obviously going to follow them, whether they know that she's there initially or not. And it'll be interesting to see what Tanchico brings for them. Speaking of which, here's Tanchico already. We've got some double T Tanchico talk to have. The idea of the 3 peninsulas and the buildings and everything that were on it when they did that zoom in shot and introduced you by putting the name of the town right in the left corner, lower left corner, looked fantastic. I don't know how I imagined it from the books or whatever, but I can accept this as just beautiful. So I really enjoyed it. Tanchico is a 3 peninsula town. Kind of the town is spread over these 3 different peninsulas, and each peninsula has kind of its own culture. But I think we're going to be visiting a little bit of all 3. Although, you saw the set that Liandrin and Naomi and them were walking through. I think we're going to see a lot of that. That's kind of the docks. That's the arriving area. And boy, were they decked out. I love those costuming. They were ready to fit right into Tanchico style, which is a little bizarre. And I love that. They looked great. And, Liandrin with the whole having to, I guess, of course, lanfear took care of her son. And she had to do something about that. And her mourning, that's the way that Nynaeve and Elayne eventually figure out where Liandrin went. But it looks so good, that marking and everything. And I'm kind of tired of feeling bad for Liandrin, to be perfectly honest, because I never felt anything for her except just contempt when I read the books. But give it up to Kate Fleetwood for making us, and the writers, for making us care about Liandrin a little bit. Man, she's really got some issues with her ex-husband, evidently, right down to the fact that she pulls an Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom on her, I guess it would be her ex-husband's great grandson, who's doing the same very sick thing that was done to her. It runs in the family, evidently. Maybe it's something that's taught down the generations of the family, but it's absolutely disgusting. And I don't blame Liandrin for doing that, to be perfectly honest. I don't know how you could. Now, wiping the girl's memories out, that's another thing that maybe a step too far. The girl was clearly saying she didn't want that, and she was given it anyway. And I'm not sure that I like that. By the way, the Indiana Jones dude does do the heart pull a little bit better, in my opinion, than Liandrin did, simply for the fact that the heart kept on beating for several minutes in the dude's hand, and here it just kind of sputtered one little spurt of blood, and then she threw it on the floor. Just kidding. The whole idea of this, though, is just awful. And then we do get a definitive, Nynaeve and Elayne, having seen an Gai'don before, kind of recognized what was with the picture. The question that TV people might want to know, well, if this is so much older, as they keep saying, why? And, perhaps we can look into the fact that a long time ago in the history of the world, maybe these kind of bracelets and everything were created by the Aes Sedai. But we can explore that a little later, when that gets revealed. Now, Bubba brought up a point. It was part of Bubba Has Questions, but we've kind of broken that segment up and just put his little things into different sections of the podcast. But he did have a good question about why are all these Forsaken hiding and acting subservient to humans? And so here's what Bubba asked.
Again, like I was talking in the last podcast about how it's real obvious. What do the bad guys want in Lord of the Rings? They want a ring. They want to take a ring. They want to kill everybody. They want to do this. Yeah, these evil, we hate humans, whatever. We hate elves. We hate orc. We love orc rights. But it was also real simple. We want to get that ring. In this, the fact that the Forsaken are still, acting as servants, literally acting as servants to the people who theoretically should be working for them. My brain just hasn't got around it. If the show has even told me, my brain hasn't got around it. So that is a question.
And so my answer to that, to Bubba and to you guys, is the whole idea of just doing things to get them done seems a little too simple. They get bored, the Forsaken do, which is to their detriment, right? It seems just too easy to them, so they like to play games, and part of that playing games is to just do things softly in the shadows, or from the shadows, as Mogi often says. That's what she's doing in Tanchico. She's just acting like she's not there so that she can see how far they get. And then she will eventually reveal herself to them and make them, do whatever she wants. But she doesn't have to right now because they're not anywhere close to helping her out. Chances are, although Mogi would have been caged, I guess, with the Dark One, or put back in with the Dark One. So she may have missed out, and she may not have all of the knowledge of some of that history that happens in between. So maybe she needs to find some stuff out on her own before she reveals herself to them. But I would almost guarantee that she's going to reveal herself to them. And now let's talk about the Two Rivers. The whole Perrin at the Apple Blossoms thing. I love that extra little bit of lore put in there where, an apple tree seed is buried with the dead, and that's why those trees come up in that way. Nice little touch. That scene was very tough. The Perrin part of it, about looking at his wife's tree, was very moving, and Alanna too. I don't necessarily like that grieving ritual where you take the ashes of your loved one and wear them on your face, but I am not in a position to criticize any culture whatsoever. So if that's your thing, that's your thing. It's just a little bit disgusting to me to think about. I think the more important thing about Alanna and Maskin through this episode is the fact that she seems to have shut her grief off from him. And in that way, she's shutting herself off from him completely. And they've got a lot of issues to work out, evidently. Just kind of sad, at a time when they could be there for each other. It seems like they're not. And Mascom seems like he's getting a little bit peeved about it, I suppose. We'll just have to see where all that plays out. I know I've seen some theories that because Alanna used the ways that she might be somebody else and not Alanna. I'm not ready to go there yet, but I can see them making future events here in Two Rivers much more interesting from her perspective than the way that they are in the books. Bane and Chiad saying things that are, hit you over the head like a rock, and also just being very horny. That's fantastic. We got an introduction to some new characters. Meet Lord Luke, who, it's funny how Perrin is already a little suspicious of him, almost kind of like, well, what are you Lord of? Lord Luke seems to just be, he just wants to get rid of the White Cloaks himself, but he wants to do it by turning Perrin in. And then this player to be named later, who we find out is Faile. And Faile is a character that in this television show, she's tiny. Her next to Marcus Isabella Bucari next to Marcus is kind of a wild sight. But I do like the kind of playfulness that was already there with, she's hunting the horn. Well, of course, Perrin's seen the horn. She's got a name that she thinks is fierce. That all Perrin can think of is the horse of Lan. All that thing is kind of humorous and kind of cute, and it'll be interesting to see where this relationship goes. Her eyes absolutely lit up once Perrin said, "Hey, wait, tell me your real name." And then she tells us her name is Fail, which means falcon. So hunting is in her blood, and that's all fun. That's all fine and well. But yeah, I do like that character. As for the White Cloaks themselves, poor Dane Bornhold looks destroyed. Losing Dad really got him, and he's he's in his cups, like Priscilla has said, and that's tough. That's tough. But you always got to love a child Valda plea to question somebody. He always wants to question somebody. He's so sadistic. Since the second episode of the series, I've hated him, and continue to hate him because it was him attacking Perrin that caused the whole death of Hopper in season 2, and so I just can't I can't help but giggle when Bornhold says, "Nope, you're not going to question anybody." And they, of course, have Matt's mom and his 2 sisters. Where are the girls? Matt really gets upset when his 2 sisters are hurt, and I love that is going to be the thing that perhaps propels this story forward. We'll see what happens there. A great book character that everybody loves to hate is Sinbui, and now TV people know why people don't like Sinbui. He's just an old, very annoying person, and that's Sinbui. If you go to my personal YouTube channel, you'll see I did a Christmas song parody, and I had a buoy cam on it, and where I impersonated Sinbui, and was just an absolute butt as I impersonated Sinbui. I won't force my singing on anybody. We get to re-embrace Egwene's mom. A lot of the guys that are in the story, like Rand's dad, Matt's dad, and I guess Egwene's dad, are all out of town. They've helped Perrin's family escape, and that's kind of interesting. And one of the things that it makes you think is, well, will we see Michael Hatton this season, or have they used this kind of excuse so that they don't have to bring those actors into this season here at the Two Rivers? That way, I guess you could save a little bit on the budget. But I like Tam. I kind of wanted to see Tam. I'm not sure that we're going to get him now. I know that it's been mentioned in the show. I can't remember exactly where. Oh, it was by Padan Fain at the end of season 1 when he called all of our Power Rangers to Viren. What that means is they are affecting the pattern in a way. This whole world is basically one weave of pattern that the Wheel of Time generates. And usually you just kind of go along your destinies that the wheel destines for you. But Ta'Viren can actually affect the pattern around them and kind of change things. And Perrin is one of them, evidently, according to Padan Fain. And therefore, he has a lot of influence over these people and is, despite not wanting to be a leader, is quickly becoming a leader there by the end of that night meeting. And Bubba actually had a couple things to say about this storyline as well.
And then I have another question, and this is real big picture of one of the storylines. I mentioned how in season 2 I could just never connect with Lan's story in the beginning of the season. As I called it Lan's Search for a Purpose. this season, the one story I connect with it more than I did Lan's season 2 storyline. But so far this season, the one story that I haven't really connected with is the Perrin goes back to the Two Rivers. And I know we got some feedback about this, talking about how, how I'm not so anti-white cloaks. But the crazy thing is that the white cloaks, just as I said, I like lanfear because she's obviously evil, but occasionally if her goals and the hero's goals align, they can kind of sort of work together. What's funny is the white cloaks, who were such wonderful, the first time we met them, they were so evil. Child Valda, deliciously evil. And yet at the end of season 2, when they're rushing in to attack the Seanchan, I'm like, yeah, white cloaks, go get them. I love it. And this season, the white cloaks are terrible. They're terrible. They're terrible. But they are protecting the Two Rivers from Trolloc attacks. So they're not, they're actually kind of helpful. And what's funny is I think I should make them like that story more. But for whatever reason, I'm just not connecting with it. And so if I was connecting with it, I wouldn't ask questions about well, wait a minute, why aren't the white cloaks actually set up in town where the Trollocs are attacking, rather than theoretically on the road to town where maybe the Trollocs could sneak in a different way?
Well, they're patrolling.
I'm just not. Yeah, but why not set your tents up right in the middle of town if that's the place you're protecting, or right around, literally right around the town instead of out a bit of a distance away? And so why I'm asking that question is because I'm not connecting with the storyline. I wish I would, but so far I'm not.
I understand that. Quick answer to why they're not in town. They have Natty Cawthon. Do you think that they're going to be able to keep a cage in the center of that without causing people to stir up against them? They have Matt's mom,
right,
as a prisoner.
Right. Okay. But maybe how about this? If they circle the whole town, isn't the whole town kind of prisoners? And then they're
who's to say that they're not circling around the whole outside of the town? We just saw one unit of it.
Well, hold on. Once again, Matt, I'm asking this because I'm not connecting with it. You say, well, who's to say they're not encircling the whole town? You say that, but literally, Perrin, a giant creature, and to Aiel must have walked past them into town.
They came through the ways, something that the White Cloaks don't know about.
Just to point out,
how far away, how big is this circle of town? I mean, once again, I'm asking these questions because I'm not connecting with it. You guys
I thought the geography with all the hills and everything would kind of tell you.
It's not working for me. It's not.
I just want to point out that this story is the last developed so far, and we are just at the beginning of the story. So you might change the opinion after a couple of episodes where it's developed better, because we just saw
a couple. They're kind of saving this one for the end of the season because they're going to run out of Rand stuff.
We just saw a couple of scenes where Perrin knows what's going on in the Two Rivers, like one scene with the White Cloaks.
Yep.
Another couple of scenes with two new characters, and then we go back to Alanna and her warder. So it's not that much, right? It's not that much to really feel connected to something that is kind of new at this point.
And I was hoping that you were more into it, Bubba, simply for the fact that you named one of your ratings after one of the characters from that story.
I know. I'm hoping it connects with me. Again, I enjoy it more than my problems with Land's storyline in season 2, but I'm just not hooked yet. Give it to me, episode 5. I want to be hooked.
All right. Fair enough. Let's move on to our Fireweave of the week. This is who gave the best burn between these two episodes. I've got lots of alternates, but mine is, I'm going to take the obvious one. Elaida comes bearing gifts. Now, Galina, she likes Andoran strawberries, evidently. She's not rejecting that. But Sutama, tells Elaida, no, you can keep that. It's way too gaudy for me. Much more like you. Burn!
That was so good.
Yeah. Bubba, how about yours?
Well, mine, I'm going to apologize. You're going to have to give me the correct character name. But to me, the best burn of these two episodes we watched was the guy who gets trapped in the glass columns and can't go forward. It looked like he really got burned.
He could not face that Lewin thing. He was obviously related to somebody during that point. The whole purpose of that is to show that you weren't supposed to commit violence. You weren't supposed to have a sword. Blah blah blah. He couldn't take it, so much to the point where he gouged his own eyes out. Now that's a burn.
Burn.
Yeah. How about you, Priscilla?
Well, like the best burn, it was what is called when they are going to region and Collagen X out, and then Bear says, "Oh, do you want to become a wise one? I can give you a dress and you can try out." Like,
speaking out of turn, baby. I got you.
Yeah,
I got your number.
Yeah, and he's such an idiot, and that's a good thing because he's an idiot in the book. So, and he's an idiot in the series. So there is no other way for him to be.
Yeah,
that's his characterization, being an idiot.
Let's talk about some feedback here. Bubba mentioned this earlier, but Carrie Sadai 6857 says your show watcher guest needs to do a rewatch of season 2. Min was a reluctant dark friend who admitted and tried to warn Matt. No. Next, he also must have missed that the White Cloaks are dangerous and the townfolk are aware that they are targeting Perrin. I stopped listening to his input.
Hey, that's fine.
Basically, she said, "Have a day, mate. Have a day, mate." Is what she was saying.
Thank you, Kara Sadai.
Yeah, we love the feedback. I love it because for once I don't sound like a complete idiot against Bubba. Orion 00 doesn't like this show at all. Evidently, the writing and pacing are shockingly bad. Somehow, this show keeps getting worse and hasn't learned from the mistakes of its past. I would say that it has learned from the mistakes of its past and is trying too hard to correct them. That's the problem that I'm having with the show.
Okay.
But that's just me. And I believe this person's a book reader. They listed some of the things that they didn't like in another comment, which we could cover in the spoiler section, but don't really need to. I believe Orion's reasoning is somewhat legitimate, show-wise and book-wise. And so I don't, if it's not for you, it's not for you, man. Just stop commenting on people's videos about it if it bothers you that much. Although you are more than welcome to express your opinion anytime at Double B Media on YouTube, at the word double letters PHQ on social medias. You can reach me, Matthew Murdoch, at .bluesky.social or bsky.social or mattsaudioblog@gmail.com. Now another guy by the name of Mr. Anger Issues 1 says this show is garbage. It pooped all over the books, and you people are nuts.
Dang.
I don't like that. I don't like this attitude. Don't call me nuts.
Yeah. Well, there were more comments. They said something about like I don't know, Wheel of Girl Bosses, and I said yes, and I love it. And they responded back to me basically saying, "Well, I'm not surprised. All low T men love this show."
Like, we stand lesbians here.
That's all the feedback that we have, folks. We know you're going to have more feedback for us after this episode, so please leave it with us. Again, MatthewMurdoch.bsky.social on Blue Sky. That's the only place I am because I'm a low T guy and I can't handle Twitter anymore. Low Twitter. So Double PHQ is all social medias. Bubba's brave. He's still on Twitter. He's still out there on Instagram. He's out on Facebook. I can't believe some of the places he's at. Priscilla is at Priscilla TV1 on YouTube. If you leave mean comments about her, I will get you. I'm going to get into spoiler sections. I don't have time with my current guests to be able to get into it. It'll have to be recorded later. I apologize. Folks, thanks for joining us on Bustin' Blockbusters. Bubba, do you want to give a personal social also, or?
No, hit us up. Leave YouTube comments, even if the show is frustrating you. We want to know. This is an open place for everybody.
It's a safe space. See ya. So in the spoiler section here, I'm going to go through a couple of things real quick. And there isn't much for these 2 episodes. Well, there's a lot, but I feel like if you're a book reader, you already know this stuff. Elaida is basically setting up what happens. Is it Camelin where they put him in the box, or is it Carrion? I cannot remember which of the 2 towns that the sisters come and they put him in the box. but Rand in a Box is coming likely in season 4. We still got to get to the coup first. So, that I'm assuming that's going to happen this season. And Saladar is going to be set up by Swan and all that stuff sometime either this season or next season. But essentially what Elaida's plan leads to Do My Wells, which is one of my favorite sequences from the books. I know it's not everybody's, but I really liked the way that all went down. The other thing I will say is what they're doing with Alana really kind of sets up what she does to Rand, in bonding him. I know that there's a lot of theories out there that she might be Cimarron. I don't know if that's going to be the case. Basically, what Rafe said is that we may have already met some of the additional Forsaken. We may have already met them. And that would tend to make you think, well, which ones? And then people were putting together Alana. Well, Alana went through the ways and she got through it okay. She also got attacked by Trolloc. Well, although she did seem kind of hesitant about that answer, and I'm not sure if we're supposed to believe her or not. But the thing is that Alana mourning Ivan in the way that she is perhaps sets her up to bond Rand, not necessarily for the same reasons. I mean, it's still disgusting to me, but not necessarily for the same reasons that she does so in the books. So that might be an interesting take. I can't imagine Priyanka Bose being too happy about her character doing this. So maybe they're trying to give a better reason so that she feel better about what Alana does. I think Priscilla and I've already talked about this, but Asmodean, Demandred, who are we picking as our last Forsaken? If I remember those statues right, there was one that was seemingly a musician. A lot of people are saying that Tom Maryland might have actually been killed, and now Asmodean is going to be Tom Maryland. I hope that's not the case, because I feel like that would destroy Tom's storyline later on in the books, where him and Matt, essentially go on a mission to save Moiraine and Hinterstop, and all of that stuff is so cool. So I hope that they don't do that. Are they going to do the Lord Luke as Slayer thing? Are they even going to do Slayer in this story? Is another question that I have. If they do it, will they do it this season, or will they just make him just kind of a seemingly mortal foe for Perrin, just because he wants to turn Perrin in? Not sure what they're going to do with that. Of course, we all know that Perrin and Faio will fall in love during this season, so that's no surprise. They've kind of painted the numbers, or put the numbers out there for us to paint by numbers with that one already, even if you weren't a book reader. And I guess my last thing about spoilers should be about the Matt and Min's vision thing. The one thing that bothers me is that Min's visions seem, a little bit too writing convenient. She seems to have them only when it's some bit of information that we need to know, rather than seemingly flooding her all the time, like she says, because she manages to have this vision of Matt, which I believe, in whatever case, this is why she's following the party, and she's going to save Matt from hanging whenever that happens. Of course, it's Rand, and it happens at Ruidian in the book story, but here you can have Min's redemption arc finally come to full fruition when she saves Matt from hanging when he goes through the Redstone dorm frame, which is still at the White Tower. So are they going to return to Tar Valon? Is he going to find another Redstone Foxes and Snakes doorway in Tanchico? I have no idea how they're going to do that, but they put the vision out there. I don't even know if they'll do it this season. Maybe they'll wait till next season to do it. But it just feels like I can't imagine Matt and them returning to the tower after Elaida has it, though. So it all still seems very convoluted to me. At the same time, Min's not having a vision of, Elaida sitting as the Amerlin seat so that she can warn Swan, that Elaida's coming for her position. I mean, I'm pretty sure that Swan kind of already knows, but it does, it's just like, oh yeah, because this pertains to my storyline, I'll see Matt's vision, or I'll see the vision of Matt, but because we want the whole Elaida coup thing to be a surprise, I won't see that one. And that's kind of traditional television writing. I don't have a problem with it per se, but it's annoying when you know the answers are coming. Yeah, I guess. So this is book reader bias coming through. Double B. But anyway, and I think that's all I got. So once again, Matt's audio blog at gmail.com is an email address where you can tell me how wrong I am about things, or you can find me on Blue Sky, Matthew Murdick, MatthewMurdick.bsky.social. Thanks for sticking with me to the very end. Bye-bye.